Incredible India. Moving on. Well, if you're applauding, we can have a round of applause, please. Thank you. Now moving on, we now have an engaging fireside chat on the evolution of graphic novels and Amar Chitra Katha. We have with us today Ms. Reena Puri. May I call upon Tulika Majumdar to felicitate Ms. Reena Puri. Please put your hands together for both of them. Ms. Reena I. Puri is the executive editor of Amar Chitra Katha and has been with the company since 1991. Earlier, she worked with various newspapers, magazines, and television production houses as a reporter, editor, and script writer, till she discovered that writing comics was her forte. Reena was associate editor of Tinkle from 1991 and worked with its founder editor Anant Pai till 2005. During these years, she learned from Mr. Pai how to communicate effectively with children and use the comic format to convey inspiration, encouragement, hope, and joy. In 2008, she took over as editor of Amar Chitra Katha and has led the team in the creation of new content for the series, including the 6-volume Valmiki's Ramayana and other titles like Paramveer Chakra, APJ Abdul Kalam, and Vikram Sarabhai. Her special interests lie in storytelling and communicating with children, especially stories from Indian folklore and tribal heritage. To host this fireside chat, we have with us our esteemed author, Mr. Sanjai Banerji. Please put your hands together for him. Mr. Sanjai Banerji is the author of 4 books, Crossing the Finish Line, The Mountaineering Handbook, Nobody Dies Tonight, and his recent Justice on the Hills. He is a CSR consultant and lifestyle coach. He has had several articles, short stories, and photo features published in newspapers and magazines. In 2019, Sanjay became the oldest Indian at age 59 to run the big 3 Asian marathons in Mumbai, Kuala Lumpur, and Singapore. Due to the lack of real races during the first phase of the pandemic in 2020, he started taking part in registered virtual running races, which entailed recording your run on a running app uploaded to the mobile phone or using a GPS watch. Sanjay registered for the first virtual race in the country for 10 kilometers in April 2020. Subsequently, Sanjay set a national record by participating in 117 virtual races between April to December 2020, ranging in distance from 5 kilometers to 42 kilometers. Without any further delay, I would like to invite Ms. Reena Puri and Mr. Banerji to continue with the fireside chat. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a proud privilege for us this evening to have the editor-in-chief of Amar Chitra Katha, Reena Puri, with us, who has had a very illustrious career spanning more than 34 years with the publishing industry, with more emphasis on Amar Chitra Katha and Tinkle Digest. So, ma'am, before we begin, for the benefit of the audience, I would like to tell them a little bit about the history of how graphic novels have evolved. Pre-internet or post-internet, comic books and graphic novels have become an indomitable part of our narrative. combining the power of both the written word with powerful visual imaginary, and they have become as telling of our existence as literature, music, or any of the other arts, despite a cartoonish exterior. As iconic Indian characters like most of you might have gone through them, Chacha Chaudhary, Shikari Shambhu, Supandi, and syndicate strips of international comics like Phantom, Mandrake the Magician, Flash Gordon, and Rip Kirby. Cartoonists, writers, and publishing houses weave themselves together the fabrics that is the Indian comic book industry that is today. In the 1950 era, classic Hindi and Urdu comic magazines for children such as Balak from 1926 to 1986. I don't think there's anybody here born in 1926 here in this room. Chandamama, a children's monthly magazine, kicked off in 1947. The first Tarzan of the Apes newspaper strip was published on 7th January 1929 with illustrations. Kutumba Rao created a series of illustrated stories focused on mythological and magical tales in Telugu, steeped in a sense of morality for the times. In the 1960s, Indrajal Comics featured the syndicated comic strips of Phantom, Flash Gordon, Mandrake. Now we come to the most illustrious time of Indian publishing history. In 1967, India's largest selling comic book series, Amar Chitra Katha, was born with more than 400 comics in 20 plus languages that have sold 100 plus million copies to date. Created by the doyen of Indian storytelling, Mr. Anand Pai, popularly known to us as Uncle Pai, Amar Chitra Katha went on to become synonymous with the visual reinvention of quintessentially Indian stories from the great epics, mythology, history, literature, oral folk tales, and many other sources. Several of India's first generation writers and illustrators became known through Amar Chitra Katha, like Kamala Chandrakant, Margi Sastry, C.R. Sharma, and illustrators like Sanjeev and Ram Veerkar, Ashok Dongri, and Pratap Mulik. Krishna was the first Indian character and 11th published issue from Amar Chitra Katha. The first 10 were derived from Western fairy tales like Little Red Riding Hood and Pinocchio. Another magazine, Tinkle magazine, founded by Mr. Anand Pai in 1981 and subsequently acquired by Amar Chitra Katha in 2007. Some of the important collections of ACK are Valmiki's Ramayana in 6 volumes, the Jataka collection, which brings to life the ancient tales of Jataka rooted in Buddhist folklore. Now, I would like to come to you, ma'am, with your long experience in Amar Chitra Katha.
32 years.
Yeah, 32 years.
Been
Yeah.
32 years since I
32
joined.
years, and you have gone through some of the most tumultuous times of Amar Chitra Katha, and you have been instrumental in driving the digital revolution in Amar Chitra Katha. So I began with this question. The impact of the digital revolution in Amar Chitra Katha and the creative process behind creating children's comics. How are the stories chosen, adapted, and presented to engage young readers?
So that's 3 different, actually, sections. The first one was about
The impact of the digital revolution in Amar Chitra Katha.
Yeah. So we are basically a print product, and all these years since 1967 we've been putting out printed comics in the retail shops. But then came COVID. COVID And it was only after that that we discovered the importance of the digital platform. In fact, we did have a small website. It wasn't very great. We didn't pay it much attention. And we were concentrating on our print products. But then COVID arrived and all retail shops were closed. All bookstores shut down. And we came to zero, literally zero. And we had absolutely no stuff going out. The warehouse also had to be closed down. So that's when our CEO, Preeti Vyas, she had just taken over. She said, why don't we revive our app, the Amar Chitra Katha app. So what she did and what we did was that we gave, the moment the lockdown started, we told children all over the country that now that they were at home and there was no way of going out or buying books, we gave them 3 months of Amar Chitra Katha absolutely free on the website.
Great, that's good.
So that is how the website got more and more noticed.
Okay.
And by the end of this whole series, when we stopped the free gifting of the app, we realized that almost 70% of the children who had come in stayed in. They didn't drop out. So they continued with the app.
Okay.
So that is how we got onto the digital platform, and we realized that we could float, we could survive because of it. So that's how we entered the digital world, actually.
So basically what you are saying, ma'am, is that all of us here, we can not just buy the comics, but we can buy the digital version on Kindle.
Oh yes, you have it.
And we have your app. And so, by the way, is it available on Google app also? That Google Play Books? No, I don't
On
think.
Play Store.
Play Store.
Yeah.
It's available in that also.
You'll get
That's very good. Because it basically means you can go through Amar Chitra Katha with your mobile phone. That's what it means.
Yes. We are on all platforms, Android, iOS, whatever there is. I'm not very familiar with technology, but those are the words my digital head uses. So we are on all those platforms and very much present.
So, ma'am, it basically means you can now enjoy Amar Chitra Katha's robust library of digital contents, as well as multiple TV shows, web series, podcasts, board games. Is there?
Yes,
board games,
absolutely.
mobile apps, and movies. Movies too.
Well, we have made a few. A few movies have been made by us, and yes,
Can you give us some examples? Which movie?
there was one called Tripura and
Tripura.
one called Tripura.
Tripura,
Yeah,
okay.
it was about Shiva and the 3 cities which he destroyed.
Okay.
And one was Sons of Rama.
Okay. Sons of Rama.
Sons of Rama. And on the YouTube, we have a lot of animation going on. With Supandi and Shikari Shambhu. I don't know how many of you, you're all adults, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Supandi and Shikari Shambhu. Okay, there's one person. Great. Anybody else familiar with Supandi and Shikari? Oh yeah, that's great to see. I'm so happy. I will tell the Tinkle editor that there were Shikari Shambhu readers here. Thank you.
And this is for the benefit of the audience. I'm informing all of you. Across social media channels, including YouTube, Amar Chitra Katha has a following of 4 lakhs people, whereas the app downloads clock in close to 10 lakhs. In short, even after 54 years, Amar Chitra Katha is still India's favorite storyteller.
That we are, yes.
Yeah. Now,
thank you.
a little bit, could you tell us about how the stories are chosen, adapted and presented to engage young readers? I mean, there are so many mythological characters and all. So how does your editorial team go about? Like the first character for mythology, I think it was Krishna.
That's right.
When it started.
Yes.
So basically, how do you do the choosing and all that?
So that's something I think our founder editor Anand Pai had put down.
Yeah.
It was not only about mythology.
Okay.
It was about history. It was about classical literature.
Okay.
It was about folk tales.
Yeah.
It was about Indian heritage.
Yeah.
The idea was to bring India to the children of India. He realized in the 1960s that children like me were all hooked on to books that were coming from the West. Indian books were not that popular, and we really didn't know much about our own culture, about our own mythology, about our own history. Only that which we read in history books, which was all done by rote. So that is when he decided to start, and because he felt very strongly that a tree is only as strong as its roots.
That's true.
So if a child knows his heritage, knows where he comes from, knows his own identity, then he grows big and he grows strong. And he spreads out his branches, he goes all over the world, he feels confident enough to imbibe all the good things from every culture in the world. We shouldn't block ourselves from other cultures. We take in the culture, but never lose our own identity. Never lose the fact that we are from India and we have such a terrific heritage, such a wonderful history, such wonderful mythology, which we should all be proud of.
Because
so that was the idea.
Correct, that was the idea. And I think by reading Amar Chitra Katha, we also sort of imbibe the roots of this beautiful country, incredible India.
So
and we get to know more about all the various different cultures of India.
That's true. And which is what helps us choose our subjects.
Okay.
So we like to take topics from all these various genres. And we have gone through mythology. We still haven't touched actually even I think 10% of what is there. There's so much more to be written, so much more. I tell you, India is a treasure chest of stories. There is no end to what we have. Every little village, every little area, every person has a story to tell. I mean, recently I brought out a book on tribal folklore. That's the first time we were going to the tribes to get their stories. I felt the children should know that there are so many rich tribal folklore which is present, tribal mythology, their own stories of origin, their own mythology based on the popular Hindu culture, the Hindu religion, but very different, very different. Because in one of them, it is Sita who kills Ravan, not Ram. In another one, in Draupadi's that Vastraharan scene, it is not Krishna who gives her the saris. It is the women of the court who start giving her their dupattas and they keep throwing it down to her and cover her with it. So everybody looks at these things differently. There are different people, different areas of our country who see these stories differently, bring in their own culture, bring in their own feelings and tell the stories by themselves and give strength to their roots, strength to their areas, strength to their people. So that is how we choose. We go and in fact the way we choose changes over time because we've been around for 56 years now. So with every generation, we realize that there are different issues which come up. There are different things that are more important to children now than they were earlier. So today I concentrate on things like the environment. I think, and I concentrate on a little bit on sports and on gender, women. Our women are totally neglected in our history books, in our stories, but there are so many strong women that our children need to hear about. The women who were in the Constituent Assembly, the women who fought the freedom struggle, the tribal women who were freedom fighters. We know nothing about them. Our schools tell us nothing about them.
That's true. We don't know.
So I feel that is what is our responsibility, to bring out all these stories of India.
It's a very big responsibility, I would say, ma'am. Very big responsibility.
Yeah, it is.
And, there is a funny thing. One of my neighbors in Bhopal, he was preparing for Kaun Banega Crorepati.
Okay.
So I asked him that, how are your preparations going on regarding the mythology front in Kaun Banega Crorepati? How are you preparing? So he gave me a very interesting answer. He said, I am preparing for Kaun Banega Crorepati primarily by reading Amar Chitra Katha. I mean, that's something amazing that, and he was a 45-year-old guy, not a youngster. So he was saying, I'm prepared. I said that you could go through reading Valmiki's Ramayana, you can go through reading the entire epic of Mahabharata. He said, no, I have too many things to study, so I'm going to Amar Chitra Katha. It gives me very concise and very detailed narratives of mythological characters, so I will continue reading them and preparing for this quiz program. So I think that's an amazing thing.
That's the greatest compliment, actually.
That's a very big compliment.
And in fact, our largest section of readers are between the age of 25 and 35, and most of them are men. So we have a large section of young men who are picking up Amar Chitra Katha and reading. And if I meet them, when I go out and I attend events like this, I meet them and I ask them, how come? And they say, first of all, it's a nostalgia value because our parents gave these comics to us and we read them. And then we realize that it is the simplest way to pick up a story, to pick up information, to pick up knowledge. So it's always interesting because of the topics you choose. It's something new, it's something we've never heard before, and we pick up the comic and we read it. So that is a very good feedback that I get from people.
That's very good, very good. Could you tell us something about the golden collections which are being kept alive with the new generation and matched up with the pace of digital evolution? Some of the golden collections, I think one of them is you have brought out Valmiki's Ramayana.
Yeah, I have.
And Jataka Tales.
Jataka Tales is a
was there earlier,
yeah,
but this concept, that we keep seeing a lot of the advertisements now on social media, golden collection keeps coming.
Yes.
That 6 is basically on epics, like 6 volumes and all that.
Yeah, that 6 volume we decided because Amar Chitra Katha just had a different comics, one on Rama, one on Hanuman to the rescue. We had different, but we thought that we should actually, like the Mahabharata which Mr. Pai had brought out, we decided to bring out the Ramayana, for which we had an expert on Valmiki, and we went through the entire Valmiki's Ramayana and broke it up into the Kands, Balkand, Ayodhya Kand, Aranya Kand, etc.
Yes. You have broken it into 6 volumes.
It took us 6 years to make Valmiki's Ramayana, but believe me, it was worth the effort, and we've
very much
what we have right now is something really good.
No, that's an amazing thing. And I like it that when you just don't say Ramayana, you say Valmiki's Ramayana.
Yeah.
It's very pertinent.
Yes, because there is Tulsi's and there are so many people from all over. Kamban's Ramayana, and Orissa you have a different Ramayana, so there are many Ramayanas.
In fact, this Ramayana has been written with so many different authors.
Yes.
And there are always some variants. A lot of people say, no, this is here, this has happened and all that. As you rightly said that, you said Sita killed Ravana actually.
Ravana, yeah. In fact, in Valmiki's Ramayana, you don't have that Lakshman Rekha.
Yeah.
The Lakshman Rekha concept came up with Tulsi's Ramayana, which just shows you with history how patriarchal rules came into being and men could draw a Lakshman Rekha over which women could not step out and they were supposed to stay inside. But in the original Valmiki's Ramayana, there is no Lakshman Rekha. Sita scolds Lakshman. She says, your brother is crying and you're not going. What is wrong? What are your ulterior motives here? You just go. You go and look for him because he's dying somewhere. And Lakshman leaves. There is no Lakshman Rekha in Valmiki's Ramayana.
Okay. No, that's a very interesting point. I'm sure this is the first time probably a lot of us have heard about it, that there was no concept. And in your long and illustrious careers, could you tell us some challenge which you face, especially in curating the content, adapting your work, various characters? Any particular challenge you faced?
Actually, this has never been a job for me.
Yeah.
It's just
so
been,
it's not that.
It's just been fun and laughter and color. I was with Tinkle earlier. That was such a joyride. And now I'm with Amar Chitra Katha. And the fact that I'm writing for children and I'm talking to children all the time, it is so joyful. It's such a happy job. I never look at it as a job.
Okay.
Challenges will come.
Keeps coming.
Yes. You don't find an artist sometime, or you have a script which needs to be gone over 1,000,000 times. But that's nothing compared to the happiness that you get when you bring out something which is for children. When you know that you are able to communicate with them, that they are reading you, they are listening to you. Because they are the most wonderful audience, if you ask me. A child is the most wonderful audience. And to be able to write to that child, to be able to talk to him, I think is the greatest joy of my life.
That's great. And now, since we are coming towards the end of the show, I would ask you one important question that are there some new types of products which you plan to evolve, like cards and things like that in the future? What do you plan for the future, for the next 2-3 years for Amar Chitra Katha?
Okay,
anything in special in your mind?
So me and my editorial team, we basically create content.
Okay.
And it's the marketing and the digital teams which come up with various products.
Yeah.
So they tell us that, okay, we have a game, want to make a game. So, can you help us with that? And we help them with that. Our job as the editorial team is to just source content, to get to the authentic, to do the research, to be able to get good writers, because comic scripting is not taught in any university. It is something that you have to learn, and it's not an easy thing to do.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So to be able to teach them to new teams and all, but we do have card games, we do have board games.
Okay.
Yes, and we have a lot of website, web comics.
Right.
And crosswords and different kinds of things, activities where we go out to children's events, to literary festivals, and we put up an Amar Chitra Katha experience zone. Okay. Where the children can come and actually, listen to stories, draw, paint, color, create comics. So we facilitate all those things.
And all these products can be got through your website?
Website has a lot of products.
Lot of products.
Like bobbleheads, they are called, I think.
Actually, I've seen some of your products, it's kept outside.
Yeah. All right.
In the afternoon, we saw your comic books and all that.
All right.
It was very good, very good. And I just would like to ask, is there anybody from the audience who would like to ask any question? Anybody from the audience?
Yes.
Anyone? I think because we have this opportunity of having the editor-in-chief with us, so it's a proud privilege for us.
It's such a privilege to be listening to you straight from the horse's mouth about the journey. But then I have one question which I wanted to ask you is, we've been talking about mythology. Yes, definitely that's something which one thing we go to for Amar Chitra Katha. But then I think children need to be sensitized on issues which are very much pertinent towards environmental change, the climate change. So is there something on those lines which you're working on? Because the eco-literature, which is one of those important areas which is there nowadays.
Yes. I'll take this mic up. So yes, absolutely, which is what I was saying, that close to my heart is the environment and climate change. So we do have now, I am limited to bringing out mythology, history, biography, folklore. Okay, I have to go to the heritage of India.
Right.
So then I bring out people like Salim Ali,
Yes.
Jim Corbett, all these people we are writing about. And unfortunately, we are bound by this rule of Uncle Pies that we write about a person only when his life is complete.
Yes.
Yeah. So there are so many living legends right now who I'd love to write about, but I have to hold myself back, And so we are writing about the people who of the past, of the Chipko movement, or I cannot write about the people who are there right now and working so hard, but those who have passed on, I am bringing out books, and I'm hoping that we'll move on to living legends as well. So on our website, we do have a lot of content on living people, Timmakka from Karnataka, and the social workers. We are bringing out a comic on Jyotiba and Savitribai Phule. So we are doing those, and sports also I feel is important for children. So, a little bit of concentration on that. So yes, definitely.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Time for one more question.
Okay. Okay. There's one person here.
I am V. Jayapal Reddy from Hyderabad. Please do something in the area of health and environment. Same. I am a teacher.
Yes.
Exactly.
So we are doing a lot with the government of India. We are bringing out comics on health, and in fact, with they're commissioning projects with us. There was one on Swachh Bharat, and there are other books also coming up on health. The thing is that when we write a comic for a child, it is basically based on heritage. But we do have companies who are commissioning us to write books on various problems which could affect children. So we are taking them also, and Tinkle and Amar Chitra Katha both are taking those up and writing on them. Yes, you there?
Hello, ma'am. So I understand Amar Chitra Katha is the #1 comic book publishing company in India.
Well, yeah, a little bit. of that, yes.
So all over the world, we see from the past 10, 15 years, comic book movies, character pop cultures like the Avengers, Iron Man. Last year's two biggest worldwide movies were Super Mario Brothers and Barbie, all based on children's product.
Yes.
India has the largest young population in the world, I would think so. But in our pop culture, children's stuff is nowhere to be seen. There are no children's movies in the top 10. There are the top 10 movies, I think, are
Yeah.
something like Pathan, Jawan, Gadar 2.
I know.
Why is that so? What is Amar Chitra Katha doing about that?
Well, Amar Chitra Katha is not into making movies. I think
No,
somebody...
but you can license the franchisees. You could push forward
yes.
these products.
So there is a company which has taken all our stories and they are turning it into animation for television, I think. They're doing that. And there is also Rana Dagubati. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Of course,
from,
yes.
Yeah, okay. Rana Dagubati is from Andhra Pradesh. He's from Hyderabad. So he is very, very involved with us and he's part of the whole setup. So he always said that Bahubali was inspired by Amar Chitra Katha. So now we are hoping to bring out a movie with him. He's working with us on that, on a movie called Hiranya Kashyap. So hopefully that will come out. We've just started on the work.
But those movies like Bahubali and the one you mentioned, they are not really children movies.
No.
Not like Avengers or not like Super Mario Brothers or Barbie. So why do you think is it that a country with such a large youth population is not having enough children's content in the mainstream media?
Yeah.
See, I want to say something about, answer your question. You may be aware, there are a lot of Japanese film companies which have enlightened the worldwide public with Ganesha, Ram, making excellent movies, which some of them have got international awards. I think one of them even got an Oscar award for the best animation film.
Yeah, the boy and the
see,
heron
the
this
point
year.
is that, Amar Chitra Katha has set the ball rolling. See,
No,
you can't expect Amar Chitra Katha to start making movies
I'm
and all
asking
that.
this question to ma'am because she's got 32 years of experience, so she would be the best person.
So as I said, we are concentrating on the printed medium, on print medium, creating the content, and it's up to Bollywood, Tollywood, Collywood to pick up these stories and make movies on them. It really, I don't think it's in our...
Hands.
Yeah, right now it isn't. We are not that big to start making movies. We have to, So we have to stick to the books right
I'm
now.
just saying it because I'm such a big fan of your content that I would like to be in the more mainstream media.
I'd love that too. But we need, another person, to do.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Hello, ma'am. So whenever we are hearing about heritage being converted to stories, a lot of male protagonists. So, and then there are so many young female readers who want something to look up to and become like those heroines and great girls, right? So what are you guys thinking about in bridging that gap?
So we have titles. One is called Women Pathbreakers. That has got all the women who first did something, like the first doctor, Anandibai Joshi, or Rukma Bai, who got, and then there's Annamani, there's Janaki Ammal. There are all these women, I don't think many people would have even heard about them, but they're the first women who were scientists, meteorologists, botanists, who came out into the world and stepped out long back in the beginning of the last century. And so we've brought a book on them, Ramabai, Pandita Ramabai. And then we have one on valiant women, which has got all the freedom fighters, people like Usha Mehta, who ran the radio, the secret radio for the Congress, underground radio it was. And we have Begum Kutsia and, people like that. Then another one on the 15 women. There were 399 women, people in the Constituent Assembly, which made our constitution. Only 15 out of them were women. And these 15 women were just brilliant. They came from all over the country. Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, Dakshayani Velayudan. They were princesses, they were Dalits, they were from every strata of society. And if you and I are sitting here today, confident with our rights, it is because of them. Because when they were discussing the constitution, they were the ones who kept putting forward the rights of women, the rights of women. So all our rights are there in the constitution. And we owe it to them. So on these 15 women also we've brought out. So I'm very aware of how important women are and how we should bring out their books, and I continue to do that. Thank you.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes.
My question is, I'm in newspaper industry for last 23 years, so I'm witnessing the shrinking market of print media. So, seeing is believing. Tangible copy of Amar Chitra Katha is far more better than the web version. I think so. This is my opinion. So, why don't you consider taking ad to generate ad revenue from your print copy? Taking ad in your print copy. I don't think you have any ad revenue collection from the print
Not
copy.
in Amar Chitra Katha, we don't take advertisements. We take in Tinkle. Okay. Tinkle has ad revenue, but Amar Chitra Katha is keeping it ad-free at the moment. Okay. I mean, I think our sales are enough to sustain us. Okay. So we are not taking ads there, but we are taking in Tinkle definitely.
Okay, this is just a suggestion for me.
Yes. The thing is, Amar Chitra Katha lasts a long. If Tinkle is monthly, Amar Chitra Katha, one copy will last you till for a long time. So those ads may not be relevant.
But the print copy is far better than, I think. It's a tangible copy and she is in believing.
Yes.
We can compare the web version with the print copy. Na?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Done?
Time's up. Sorry, time's up.
Good evening. I am from teaching field, so I have seen little children not taking these comics the way we have had taken them. I think the way history, geography, these subjects are taught means whenever you introduce any historical event, people get bored, means they lose interest at the very start. Means we can do this thing, means it's just a proposal. If you can talk about introducing these historical stories and stuffs about heroes and events at the base level for children in school, they might grow the interest there. This is
it's absolutely valid, and we've been doing it for many years. So we had a project in which all the central schools had got Amar Chitra Kathas for their libraries.
Okay.
Yeah, and even today we have taught boxes for children. We have brought out ACK Junior for the primary section, which is in the narrative format. So there's a lot of work going on for children and going to schools directly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
If we can introduce them exactly as a part of the syllabus, it would be great.
Syllabus, I don't know if they'll be able to, but definitely as supplementary reading, they are being introduced in schools and libraries.
Okay. Thank you.
I thank you, ma'am. I thank you for giving your valuable time and enlightening us more about the India's #1 storyteller. And thank you very much, ma'am, for coming down this evening and enlightening us.
Thank you all. Thank you, Kyoto Publishing, for inviting me here. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Reena Puri and Mr. Sanjai Banerji. I know you all have a lot of questions, but Ms. Puri will be here, so you can ask all your questions to her. And also, we have an exclusive stand for Amar Chitra Katha, so you may check that out, and you can also get your copies.